Good morning, Rick. How are you this morning?
I'm doing very, very well. Hey, listen, I wanted to start by saying thank you for doing this. I think this is a great idea to have this recorded and to be sharing this with the other club members and getting to know each other a little bit better. So thank you for doing this.
Oh yeah, it's nice how people are really enjoying it, and I get comments like "love that" or "didn't know that about so and so," and I'm enjoying just spending the time to get to know each
Oh, good.
individual a little bit more. So thank you. Yeah, no, I'm
Good, good,
selfishly enjoying it myself.
good. Good
So
to
should we start off with like, who are you? Where did you come from? And tell us a little
Okay.
bit about you.
Okay. Well, I was born in 1950 in Ottawa to wonderful parents, both of them very involved in the church, and hence I've been very involved in the church. My mother was an organist. My dad was an elder at the church. So church was always a big part of growing up for us. Um, my father saw a little bit of a spark in me in terms of my artistic ability and my math. Math was about the only subject that I did well in school. We won't talk about the other ones. So he pushed me in the direction of architecture. So I had my first career after I finished architectural college. And I spent about 2.5 years in Toronto and Ottawa doing architecture work. And then I got into real estate after that. I was a real estate agent with Royal LePage, which dates me even with that name, in Ottawa for a couple of years. But I always wanted to have my own business. And my sister-in-law gave me an opportunity. She had been working in a jean business for a while, and we talked about maybe getting together and opening a business together. And so we did that. We had a store. It was called Threads in one of the shopping centers. And mostly I hired people from family and from my own church. And much against what normal business practice would tell you, I wound up dating one of those ladies from my church. Janice and I have been married 43 years now, so that worked out not too badly for us anyway. We had we had two boys during the time that we built up that jean business. The jean business was very successful. It was a bit of a no-brainer. Everybody wants the latest jeans, and especially in the mid 1970s, it was a very, very good business to be in. So we were in 4 malls in Ottawa. We had 2 children, but we were still both kind of restless to get back to doing the work that we felt God was calling us to do. And kind of long story short, we became missionaries. And we went to Papua New Guinea, just north of Australia, and dragged our 2 boys along, aged 1 and 4 at the time. Turned out to be a great experience for them and for us as well. We were there for 5 years. I enjoyed it so much that when I came back, I spoke to our head office about maybe having a career doing that kind of thing. And they said, well, you'd need to go back to university to do that. So they sent me back to Queen's Theological College for a master's degree in theology. And they gave me 2 small rural churches to look after while I was at university. And I really, really enjoyed doing pastoral ministry. It was the first time that I'd been exposed to pastoral ministry, and I really, really enjoyed it, and decided rather than going back and being a missionary, I would stay in Canada and I would do that kind of pastoral work. So we wound up in mostly southwestern Ontario. I had a total of about 5 churches in southwestern Ontario. By the way, we had our 3rd boy while we were in Papua New Guinea. I can't believe he's 36 today. So kind of dating myself here on this. But we had 5 churches before my boys, who were then in their teens and early 20s, say to us, Mom, Dad, we want to go out west. We want to live out west. We'd like to have you, but whether you come or not, we're going out west. So we thought, well, if we want to spend our time with our family, then maybe we better think about going out west ourselves. So in 2002, we packed up and went to Kelowna. My only regret is that I didn't do it many years previous. We've loved living here in Kelowna. Most of the club would already know of my experience here in Kelowna as a pastor for Rutland United Church for 17 years. I retired when our two oldest boys got married in the summer of 2019. Retired just before COVID hit. I'm sure glad that I did, because I speak to other pastors and they tell me about how trying and challenging it was to be a pastor during a time where you weren't allowed to have church services, you weren't allowed to go to the hospital and do any visitations. So I think I retired just at the right time. So that's 73 years in kind of a 5-minute nutshell.
Wow, that's quite a diverse working history too. I had no idea. I knew about your pastor history, but I had no idea about the architecture. I love math too. That was my favorite subject for sure.
Oh, yeah, well, it was about the only one that I seemed to excel in. So it was a little bit of a natural. And I'm missing telling you about probably 8 or 9 jobs that I had as a teenager, but we won't get into that.
Any crazy jobs as a teenager?
No, but I worked at as a lifeguard. Swimming was always a big part of my life, and so we were very, very fortunate. We had a summer place in Muskoka, and so swimming was a big part of my life. Lifeguarding. Probably one of the interesting things is the 2 lifeguarding jobs I got fired from. One of them was the Chateau Laurier, which is kind of the upscale hotel in Ottawa. And what happened there was somebody who I guess had some very great influence saw an incident happening that I missed. Somebody had jumped in on top of somebody else, and somehow I didn't notice it. And so I was relieved of my duties. But it was interesting, in those days, you could get a job kind of the next day. It was not difficulty. There's no difficulty in finding work in those days. And I went and worked for kind of the second hotel, which is called the Skyline Hotel, and worked for as a lifeguard there for a while. And during the time that I was there, somebody picked up the keys that they had given me to open and close the hotel swimming pool, which happened to have a master key for every single room in the hotel. And so I got relieved of my duties from doing that as well.
Oh my goodness. But deviant behaviors back then, hey?
Interesting. Both of those places asked me to come back after it's spell.
Well, you're a good guy. I can see that. So tell us, what does Rotary mean to you?
Well, in a word, Rotary has always meant opportunity. It's been always an opportunity to be more than I could be without Rotary. So one of the things that I've really enjoyed doing is the breakfast program that I've been doing now for probably, well, most of the time that I've been here in Kelowna, but also 5 or 6 years in Ontario as well. And it gives me the opportunity, Rotary does, to do that kind of thing. I couldn't do it by myself. So the volunteers that have helped not only have made it possible, but have made it a whole lot more enjoyable. We have a lot of fun every school day morning with mostly Rotary volunteers having that, doing that breakfast program. So I would say opportunity in a word. Rotary allows people to do a whole lot more than they could do on their own.
Yeah, that's great. So you do that every morning, the breakfast?
Yes, and you know what? I would love to have a few more volunteers. I would love people just to drop into Spring Valley Middle School anytime, any school day morning between 8 and 9 o'clock, and just see what we do. There's a whole lot of talk about that breakfast club that Rotary does that nobody's ever, that a lot of people have never visited, including a number of presidents. So yeah, I'd love people just to drop in and to take a picture, see what we do, see what it's all about. It's a great program.
Yeah, it's amazing. I know, I love that being part of Rotary is that there's when there's distress in the world, we're part of an organization that is immediately there helping. I love that. Instead of feeling like you're like, oh, I feel horrible, I'm so sorry that's happening, but it's great to be part of an organization that is so nimble and so effective and meeting the needs of people that are struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, polio, the defeating polio as much as we have done, and being a very small part of that, each one of us, Janice and I went to Haiti shortly after they had their earthquake. I think that goes back about 10 years ago now. And to see the Rotary shelter boxes, hundreds of them, providing the kind of support that was really, really very, very badly needed. And to see the other tents that were around them that were already kind of suffering from wind and rain and whatnot, and the shelter boxes holding up very strong.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Makes you proud to be a Rotarian. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I've been proud to be a Rotarian and to say that I'm a part of that.
I know, it's very cool. When did you join Rotary and why did you join?
My first Rotary club was in about 1994. One of the churches that I was pastoring was a very good church in terms of working within, but not without. And so I tried to get it to do. I'd always, all the churches that I've been involved in previous had been very heavily involved in community service. This one didn't seem to want to be that. So I started looking for a service club. There was a Rotary club, very small Rotary club. I think there were only about 8 or 10 of us, maybe at the most. And we did a lot of work in that little town, and it was very rewarding work that needed to be done for families that, in particular, that were marginalized.
Oh,
so then came to Kelowna as a bit of a no-brainer. Albert Baldeo was one of the first people that I met here as a United Church pastor, and he said, "I've got a service club I want you to think about joining." So Albert brought me along, and I never looked back from Albert's invitation.
Tell me about Albert. I know we have an award named after him.
Oh, I guess you never met Albert. He was before your time. Well, Albert was considered to be the pastor of Kelowna, the kind of the minister of Kelowna. I think he even was at one time given the keys to the city. He was well loved. He was a poet. He was the pastor at St. Paul's for many, many years. And he was the kind of person that everybody just loved. He always had a smile on his face, always was telling poems, some of them very silly poems, some of them very long poems that he would read to the club. Always had something kind to say about something. Very, very proud of him as a fellow United Church minister.
Nice. That's great. I wish I'd had a chance to meet him. I know you've been involved with our club and obviously the club back east and stuff. So what kind of committees and activities have you been involved with?
Well, I mentioned the breakfast program. That's probably been the one that I've been involved in the longest, and probably has been the one that's demanded more of my time than any of the others. But I really enjoyed doing the Field of Crosses and being involved with the Field of Crosses over the last 4 years or so. Since I've been to Kelowna, I've been involved with Freedom's Door and Teen Challenge, and Now Canada, the women's equivalent. And through that involvement with those alcohol and drug rehabilitation programs, with the help of Rotary, we've been able to help all of those. Those names will all be familiar to most people at our club. So I think, again, just opportunities to be more than what I could be outside of Rotary as a single individual. Been really enjoying working at Silver Lake as a result of Rotary connection, in particular with James Kay. And that's been a very, very rewarding experience, as have all of those experiences that I've had that have been connected with Rotary. I was on the board for many years before becoming president about 7 years ago. I think 2016, 2017, I was president. Again, very, very good years. So look back on all those times, very rewarding.
Well, it's amazing. Thank you for all that you've done. And you also lead us in invocation. And what does that mean to you, and how do you think it impacts the club?
Well, I mean, obviously for me as a pastor, I really appreciate being in a club that is still kind of dedicated to begin the time in a kind of a spiritual way, the existential kind of a way. And that, as you know, and you've been on the committee, we have a whole variety of different ways that we connect in vocation, that goes beyond just our club in various ways. So that's been very, very meaningful. I am looking after in vocation for probably about the last 6 years, looking for somebody to take on that schedule. While we've got people, perhaps a few people online here that are perhaps available or thinking about looking at it after another committee.
Oh, for sure. So we were talking a little bit about the after fives before we got started. I hadn't realized that John McIntyre had started those.
Yeah, John McIntyre would have started those in about 2015 or so. So we've been doing after fives. We've been doing those quite regularly, except of course during COVID. First Thursday of every month for like the last 6-7 years, and I think they really build up a fellowship with the club. I think they're really important, just as a time for us to get together. I mean, Tuesday morning's a great time, Tuesdays at noon, for us to get together over a meal and to chat and to talk with one another. But there's just something special about the very relaxed atmosphere where there's no agenda at our after fives.
No
And
speeches.
I've been enjoying organizing those. I'm glad that Julie Mulligan has stepped forward along with Tosca and said, we'd like to get involved in it. So you'll see a whole lot more of their faces after five moving forward.
No, I really enjoy it too. It's nice just to chill and hang out and enjoy, and to go to different places around our lovely city and stuff, and go to places maybe I haven't even been before. That's kind of nice too.
Yeah, and if people have ideas of where to go, make sure to speak to me, speak to Julie, speak to Tosca with your suggestions.
Absolutely. We were probably already talked about what you're most proud of about our club. Like there's so many things I know. Like, were you involved in the Pleasantville at all?
No, Pleasantville. Well, I mean, one of the people I love in our club is Sheldon, and Sheldon was very, very involved. I think that's how Sheldon and I kind of got to know one another. Poor Sheldon, he was very, very involved in fixing up the places that were 50 years old at the time, and a lot of work was overdue. We were really kind of slum landlords, and Sheldon made us kind of got us out of that title. And then the place was all torn down after all the work that they did. But Sheldon and I worked together at Pleasantville, putting down new carpets or flooring or plumbing or whatever. But I don't mean to say that I did nearly as much work as Sheldon. But that's the biggest connection that I had with Pleasantville, was doing that kind of work with him.
I remember hearing about it at a meeting early on when I joined Rotary. I had no idea that this amazing project was put in motion. Like, what was it, in the 50s or something, when the land was
I think it was around 1950.
Yeah, it was an idea somebody had to make a difference for some senior living. I was like, wow, talk about a great idea, and then incorporating with an amazing organization to create this. Wow, it was very emotional, and I love all the stuff that we do, and I love the scholarships we give to nurses and having them come back and saying what an impact. It's just, there's countless things that our club does. That's just
There's rarely a Tuesday that goes by that we're not kind of surprised with something new that we hear that Rotary's doing, and just how much it's appreciated in the community. It actually surprises me that there aren't more people that say, hey, this is a way that I can give back to the community. What a great community we live in.
right.
And Rotary is an opportunity for us to make it a little bit better and to give back.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just don't totally understand. So, but we've had some nice growth of new members, and that's spurring off to stuff.
Bill's done a great job, and Gordy Charles involved with that, and others involved in getting new people in. And it's very exciting to have that utilized, especially after COVID, and kind of depressing during COVID, when all we could do is have those Zoom meetings, and the fellowship aspect was although Lynetta did a great job of it when
Great
she was
job.
president during COVID.
She was the
But
right president for that kind of time. Like,
oh, absolutely, absolutely. So glad it was her and not me. Uh, it was very, very, very difficult, but she did a great job, kept the club together. And but we lost a lot of members during COVID. There were a lot of members that just were not keen on Zoom, and a lot of members just kind of that was their time to say that's enough of Rotary and moving on and getting on. So it's really nice to see it being built back up. I'm thinking that there's not many clubs that are building back up the way that our club is. So very proud of what's happening.
and the meetings are great. They're always so full of energy and great information, and
Yeah, we've had some great speakers too.
great speakers.
Steve did a great job last year. Bill's done a great job this year. Both of them very well connected in the community, and so yeah, it's been really, really good. And I love getting out and doing things like at the Aviation Museum a while back and that kind of thing.
Yeah. You mentioned Sheldon and what you admire about him. Is there other members that you'd like to mention that you admire?
Well, just about everybody in the club, and I don't want to start naming people and then leaving other people out. But one of the things I love about Rotary is that we work with other people who have very much the same understanding of who we should be and what we can be, and are grateful for opportunities to live in this great city and to work with others that feel that way. And every Tuesday I look around in the club and I think, here's people, this person's done this person's done that, this person looks after this committee. And just to be with a group of people that, kind of think the same way that we do, that it's a privilege to be able to give back to the community the way we do at Rotary.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be very hard for me to narrow down and name you all the people that I admire. It's no exaggeration when I say that I admire everybody.
Yeah, me too.
That is committed to Rotary.
Yeah, no, great people, just great hearts, just really kind people. And being in corporate Canada for as long as I have been and stuff, it's just nice to be around gracious, kind, giving people in the service, right? And no cutthroat things or unkind. It's amazing. And I love if anybody's stumbling or having a challenge, that people just rally around. And when people have like a new baby or something to celebrate, rally around.
We celebrate it together. It is very much like having another family. Very, very much. And I would think that probably for a number of members, it's maybe their only family.
I know. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. So, what is something people would be surprised to know about you?
Probably that I do a fair amount of painting. Been painting my whole life. Started doing oil paintings many, many years ago, and then stopped.
Is that one of your paintings in the background there on the wall behind your shoulder?
That actually, yes. I don't know how well we can see it. That's my son wakeboarding.
You painted that?
I did.
Wow. Wow. That's wonderful.
Ralph Rohrlich's been helping me paint.
Really?
So Ralph comes over from time to time, and we get together, and the latest painting that I'm attempting, and he gives me some professional advice. So Ralph and I have had a good experience together. I've learned an awful lot from Ralph. He's just a great giving person, and it's very sad. Probably the club, I don't know how many people know, but Ralph would love to be back at the club, but his hearing just doesn't allow him to do it. He just misses so much of what's said. So very, very sad, because he'd love to be back there and to be with us. If we could overcome that issue. And I know that there's a few things that are available that might help us do that moving forward. But anyway, he's been a great help and a great friend.
I had no idea he was in the painting world. That's fantastic.
Oh, he's got, you know what, we should have Ralph come, and I don't know if he would do it, come and tell us. He's had an amazing career here in Kelowna. He designed most of the buildings that are up at Big White.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a very strong, he was not an architect, but he's got an awful lot of architectural design knowledge, and has done a number of buildings in Kelowna. You'd be surprised with what he's designed and built in Kelowna.
Maybe we should do a paint night one of these after fives.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
You can direct us. And I'm sure Tosca, because she's an artist too, would
Okay, yeah, well, we
put that
should
in.
definitely do that, because I'd like to find out, what other people are doing in terms of their art. And Ralph has some beautiful, beautiful art. I'm
Wow.
sure he would be, if he wasn't prepared to come and to be a part of an after five, I'm sure he'd be quite happy to have a painting or two there.
So I promised you I wouldn't ask the last question of there's anything else that you want to share. Did we miss anything? Is there anything else that
I think I've talked about my experiences enough in Rotary, but again, I get back to opportunities. I'm so grateful. I think about the last 20 years that we've been here in Kelowna, and so much of it has a Rotary connection. And I would be a far different person without Rotary. So I'm just very happy that Albert came along and nudged me in the right direction.
Oh yeah, you're just a joy to be around at Rotary and stuff. You're just so much fun, Rick, and you just really listen and care. And
well, thank you. Appreciate you saying that. I've really enjoyed it. I've been the biggest beneficiary of it, I'm sure.
Oh no, it's great. We're lucky, and I really appreciate your time today, getting to know you a little bit better. I had no idea about some of that history at all. So
it's been fun doing it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, take care. God bless.
Thank you.